same Balabhadra that used to live in England also and stayed with Jashoda for a while? Is that the same
Yes, yes,
Balabhadrara?
Yes.
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
we're live
Right.
though.
We're
All
live.
right. Yeah, he took
Okay.
me through a walk one time over the bridge and checking out the old battle
May
cruiser
Swaran.
and the Tower of London. Yeah, I remember
Okay,
that
I'm
bell.
starting. Starting.
Hey,
All right.
Bolo.
Namami Sharam Sachidananda Gopam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Jashoda Biyoruka Radhavamanam Paramishtamatya Tatadutagopya Rudam Tamohurnetra Yugmamrijantam Karam Bhojayugamena Satam Kanetram Muhusasakam Pa Tireka Kakantha Sitagraivam Damo Daram Bhakti Badam Iti Trikaswalilabhi Ananda Kunde Sagasham Nimajanta Akhyapayantam Tadiyeshitageshu Bhakti Jitatvam Una Prematastam Satabriti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Namokshavadhimva Nachanyam Rineham Vareshadapiha Idam Teva Puranatha Gopal Balam Sada me manashiyavi Rashtra Kimanya Idam te mukham vojam avaktani Vritam kuntale snigdha raktascha gopya Muhuschambitam bimba raktadharami Manasha virashta alam lakshalabhe Namo Devadamo Dharananta Vishnu Prasira Pravaduka Jalabhimagna Kripadeshti Vrishate Dinambatanum Grihaneshamamagya Hidiyakshidisha Kuvaratmajo Vadha Muta Bhajatvat Tvaya Mochito Bhakti Vajo Krito Cha Tata Prema Bhakti Sakame Prayacha Namokshe Graho Misti Damodareha Namaste Studamne Spuradipti Dhamne Tadiodarayata Vishashathamne Namo Radhikaye Tadiya Priyaye Namo Radhikaye Tadiya Priyaye Namo Nantanilayo Devaya Tubhyam Namo Nantanilayo Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaye Tadiya Priyaye Namo Radhikaye Tadiya Priyaye Namo Nantanilayo देवाय तुभ्यं नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर दामोदर जय राधे राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर दामोदर जय राधे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा प्रभुपरा जय प्रभुपरा जय प्रभुपदा निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल थैंक यू सो मच
Jai Jai Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Girit Hari Shri Shri Radha Raman Radha Vinod Bihari Radha Damodar Radha Madan Mohan Radha Govinda Radha Gopinath Chuki Jai Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasta Tatsat Sri Simad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasta Tatsat Sri Simad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Raj Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Parasta Tatsat Sri Simad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Raj Ki Jai Jai Nityalila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asta Tatsat Sri Simad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Maha Bhagavad Srila Gorkishoras Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Sachitananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Gauraviranta Charja Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Sri Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai Sri Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Sri Rup Sri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Sri Sarup Damodar Roy Ramananda Adi Gaura Pashavini Ki Jai Namacharya Shaharas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Antradeep Mayapur Sri Mantradeep Godumadeep Madhudeep Koladeep Rudadeep Chandradeep Madhudumadeep Rudadeep Amaka Sri Navadip Dham Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dvara Satmaka, Sri Bhadrivan, Bandiravan, Belvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talavan, Kamudavan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kandiravan, Kamyavan, Ki Jai. Jai Vishabhanu Nandini Shrimati Radharani Ki Jai Lalita Vishaka Aryastasaki Vinda Ki Jai Rupa Manjari Laki Manjari Ari Manjari Vinda Ki Jai Jai Purnamasi Devi Ki Jai Vinda Devi Ki Jai Gopisar Mahadev Ki Jai Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakraju Ki Jai Bhakta Vignavinach Sri Nrsimha Bhagavan Ki Jai Bhakta Raj Sri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Sri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai Sri Bhuvana Mangala Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Priyat Pradanga Ki Jai Sri Bhajmandal Parikram Ki Jai Ojavrat Ki Jai Ananda Gaudi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you to Nalini Didi also. You all have the great fortune of having me as your MC for the next, the end of, up until the end of Kartik. So, good luck. But let's start. Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaye Priyatmane Shri Shri Marshila Bhakti Vedanta Narayani Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Radha Govinda Priyatmane Shri Shri Marshila Bhakti Jivanacharya iti namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shri Shri Marshila Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine. Vancha kalpatarubhisha kripa sindhubheva patadanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. First of all, I'd like to offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of my divine spiritual masters Nitilila Pravisht, Om Vishpada Stotra Sat, Shishima Shila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And at the same time, Nitilila Pravisht, Om Vishnupada Stotra Sat, Shishima Shila Bhakti Jivanacharya Goswami Maharaj. And Nitilila Pravisht, Om Vishnupada Stotra Sat, Shishima Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. The entire Rupanuga Guru Varga, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, and headed by our Tridandipad, Bhaktivedanta Vaikanas Maharaji and Shripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaji, the entire Rupanuga Varga, Hari Hari Bol, Dandava Pranams to everyone. We're on the last 2 days of our Kartik Parikram. I can't believe that we've got to the end. It actually is making me feel a little bit sad that it's coming to an end. The ecstatic ways that Gurudev has pushed us into this mood of seva. I'm just so forever grateful, and I feel so nourished. Actually, my heart feels very nourished, and so I'm very, very grateful to the speakers, but also the listeners and everyone else that's pushed us to do this program. So today, as it's a rest day, technically we did a long program yesterday, and so today we will be taking rest in Giridhari Gaudiya Math in our hearts. And so today we will speak on Damodarastakam. We will speak through, I think we'll go to from 5 to 8, so all the way to the end. Well, both Maharajas will try to get to the end, but Damodarastakam is a forever kirtan, forever poem that we should always be singing. And Gurudev would say that whatever we've tried to do in Kartik, we should try and push that throughout the whole year. So whatever we endeavored in Sankalpa, we should try and push through throughout the year. So this Damodarastakam should be forever with us. So without further ado, but I believe Shripad Vaikanas Maharaj will go first, followed by Shripad Tridandi Maharaji. So Vaikanas Maharaji, the floor is yours. Hari Hari Bo. Dandavat Pranams Maharaj.
Yeah, I always want to be on the floor, right? I want to be down.
I think I need to be, if you're on the floor, then I need to be lower. I'll be the.
So I'm on the floor now. I'm trying to not sit in a chair. Sometimes you have to sit on a chair, but once you surrender to the chair, it's over. Once you become a chairwala. Well, I mean, people at their desks with their computers, but I mean, when you're talking and speaking and in the temple and all, once those chairs come out, boy, it's really hard to go back.
It's true. It's true.
Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitanjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Maitaya Taravo Vinedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimana Tasmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivanarotamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Abhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshai Keep Taschakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kapaturubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we always begin by offering our most humble, grateful obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitya Lila Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pada Stotra Sat Sri Simad Abhaya Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. and unto Sri Guru Pada Padmanitha Vishnu Om Vishnu Pada Sto Tat Sat Sri Simad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupanuga, Guru Varga, and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis present, all that were, all that ever will be, right? And whatever country they may reside, all glories to the Vaishnavas. So, we have covered up to verse 5 on this Sri Damodarastakam. And now we're going to do verses 6 and 7, and Sri Dandi Maharaj will do verse 8. But what Sri Dandi Maharaj has been explaining about this being a evolution of realization, right, is now coming to fruition, right? That what is blossoming in the heart of Satyavrat Muni is now being revealed more and more, right? And it would not be so obvious what is dormant there were it not for the purports of Sri Sanatana Goswami and our Srila Gurudev, especially Gurudev, is including references like when we're hearing about in this last verse that his cheeks being kissed, desiring to see that beautiful face of the Lord being kissed by the beautiful lips of Mother Jashoda, right? But also that can also mean Srimati Radhika, but it's not said directly, right? But we understand from Gurudev's purports that these things are coming up in his heart, but he's being very careful. He's understanding more and more what it is he wants, and he's taking appropriate steps in his prayers to ask for it and how to achieve it. And whenever I read this and read these purports, I can't help but go back to Jaiva Dharma, that remarkable opus magnum by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the experiences of both Vijay Kumar and Brajanath, right? And Vijay Kumar, now I've been listening to the later chapters, 33, 34, 35, and all these detailed descriptions about the state of bhav and the meditation that he is going through, understanding the qualities of Sri Krishna in that mood of Madhurya Ras, the qualities of Srimati Radhika, the qualities of the servants, the nature of that love, how it manifests in the heart and all of its varieties. And yet we see that even though Vijay Kumar is so qualified, and Gopal Guru is expressing so much affection for him, so much intimate affection, Vatsalya Bhav for him, and talking about his own great fortune to have such a disciple, Vijay Kumar is still very aligned with the etiquette and offering effusive praise to his teacher, to his guru, and always from a very humble position. And yet, and the more he hears, the greedier he becomes to hear more and more and more. And that's what we're getting here as well. The more that these feelings awaken in his heart, the more greedy he's coming. And this is a lesson for us, right? That if we're not feeling an increasing urgency and desire, then we're doing something wrong. And oftentimes that doing something wrong involves aparad. It involves aparad in our chanting and our dealing with others, with Vaishnavas, So we have to be very careful for that, for aligning ourselves properly and continuing to hear so that this greed will awaken in our hearts, because we're going to hear in detail, Gurudev is going to talk about the necessity, absolute necessity of associating with high-class Vaishnavas to bring this on, right? Without that, it can't happen, right? So this verse, this sixth verse, Namo Deva Damo Dharananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukkha Jalabdi Magdam Kripa Drishti Vishchati Tinam Batanu Grihane Shamam Agyam Ed Yakshi Disha. O Deva, O you who have a divine form, I offer my respectful obeisance to you. O you who are Bhakta Vatsala, affectionate to your devotees, Sri Damodar, O Ananta, Lord of inconceivably magnificent potencies, O all-pervasive Vishnu, O Prabhu, my master, be pleased with me. I am drowning in an ocean of incessant worldly miseries. Alas, I am extremely miserable, and I do not know what to do. O Isha, supremely independent controller, please deliver me by the nectarian shower of your merciful glance and enliven me by becoming directly visible before my eyes. Okay, now remember in previous days, Chaitanya Maharaj was mentioning how he's going to come to the point of Nam Sankirtan, right? That this process is the only means ultimately for this kind of awakening and deliverance. And now it's being stated directly. And so in the commentary of Sri Sanatana Goswami, he says that now, by all these prayers, an uncommon type of praying has arisen in Sri Satyavama Muni's heart directly, right? And he expresses his intense longing to see Bhagavan directly. Previously, oh, I'm appreciating Mother Jashoda. I'm understanding these pastimes are the greatest thing, and only by, hearing and these kinds of pastimes can the appropriate greed and all awaken, not by other processes of meditation and austerity. No, I simply want to hear and glorify your pastimes. But then more specifically, great appreciation for Mother Jashoda, and then awakening appreciation for that extraordinarily beautiful form. Let that appear in my heart, right? Oh, not only that form, general form, but that form that Mother Jashoda is kissing and embracing. In other words, that vision, that form he's seeing in relationship to the special kind of affection and prema that Mother Jashoda has. Let that awaken in me, right? But now, even more than that, not within my mind, not within my heart, I want to see you directly, right? I want to see you directly. I want sakshat darshan, right? Direct. So it's described that there are different kinds of ways the Lord may manifest. He may manifest by spurti, right? A vision in the heart, or he may manifest by what's called svapna darshan in a dream. Guru can also do this, or sakshat darshan, directly. See, remember Dhruva Maharaj was seeing the Lord in the heart, but then the Lord manifested directly before him, and what a transformation he went through. So now his greed is so much, I want to see you. So how will I do it? He's thinking, Sanatana Goswami says he submits himself to his Lord through fervent prayers in the form of Sri Nam Sankirtan. And then he says something really interesting, that he had feelings of intimacy, and he wanted to say, Namo Tubhyam, Ananta Vishnu. Tubhyam is a more intimate expression, meaning unto you, but affectionately. But he couldn't quite do that. So he says, Namo Deva, right? He was a little apprehensive that, maybe I'm overstepping my boundary here, so but that the feeling was coming into his heart. So but still he hesitated. So he uses other forms of expression to glorify the Lord. And in each of these expressions, different kinds of meanings are brought out. He says in the verse, oh, be pleased with me, prasida, right? I'm in a very unfortunate condition, dukkha jalabdhi magnam, right? I'm drowning. Magna means unbroken series of miseries. I'm dukkha, I'm unhappy. We have to have this realization too. General realization that we're really unhappy in this world. Many of us know we're unhappy. I mean, I know I'm unhappy, I'm just living in this old, corrupt, decrepit body, it's unhappy every day, right? Sometimes I say that if I experienced and felt like I do at every moment of every day now. If I felt like that when I was 20, I would take myself to the hospital and said, oh my God, I must be ill. I must be sick. But this is what you live with every day when you get old. So old age is actually a blessing because you may come to that point. Oh, I'm drowning. But if we fall for the trap of, oh, the solution is a better material condition. Oh, if I just had this, if I just had that, or maybe if I had a new, younger body, then that would be the solution. No, no. These miseries, as long as there's birth and death, suffering will be there. And so he's come to that. I don't want that, So I'm also atidinam. I'm deprived of the support of saintly association. That's the real misery in our life. And we can all remember that when we have the close association of a Mahabhagavat, be Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivigyan Bhartimaj, or Srila Prabhupada, in the presence of such a person, nothing but happiness, joy, any material misery or problem that you may have felt afflicted by, it just goes away. It doesn't even exist. The reality of spiritual joy and bliss is coming out of their hearts, right? And infusing us. Even with only a taste of it, it's enough. And so he's asking, Kripa Drishti, please glance. Give me your compassionate glance, right? Just even for a moment. We sing that every day, right? In our Mangalartik song by Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshavraj, oh, please cast your merciful glance upon me that this rati may arise in my heart. This is what he's singing, right? How many times we sing that Mangalartik song, we just say the words, but we're not thinking deeply about it. He's thinking very deeply. Give me your glance. I need this. And we get to start every day with the same kind of prayer for the intimate vision and association in Vrindavan. And if you notice, that prayer also evolves a little bit in the same way, with expressions of appreciation, glorification of the magnificence of the Lord, but then give me this rati. And then what happens? Vision of Vrindavan, of the pastime places, of what he wants. We're seeing that for the happiness of Radha and Krishna as they're waking. This is actually their Nishanta Lila, and we're being invited to take part, even if we're only envisioning it imperfectly and from a distance. Still, it's great mercy and grace. And so this is what's happening here. By the mercy of association, we don't know exactly who, but he had to have had association and heard about these pastimes because they're eternal pastimes. He wasn't there initially when he spoke this. This hadn't happened yet, right? But still, he was given that vision by the grace of some great devotee, right? So then the prayer to Krishna is, please become directly, Adyakshi Dusha, directly before my eyes, right? And there's nothing greater than that. I mean, we don't have time to get into it now, but there's a very extended commentary taken from Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where Gopakumara is having that discussion with Pipalayana Rishi, who's quite content with the meditation within the heart. And Gopakumara says, no, I want to see the Lord directly with my own eyes. Pipalayana Rishi says, it's not possible to see the Lord with your eyes. These eyes, the mind is the topmost of all the senses, and it can see the Lord much better than these eyes. He doesn't realize that what Gopakumara wants is to see him with his spiritual eyes, right? With the eyes of love. Premanjana Chodita Bhakti Vilochanena. So he's using these, calling out to him in these different names. Deva, oh, you whose form is divine. Oh, beautiful Lord, right? Not Tubyam, he's glorifying him as the Lord. Later on, he's going to use that, show that there's another meaning to that word Deva, one who has delightful pastimes as well, right? But oh, Deva, right? Oh, you of divine, beautiful form. Not divine in the sense of Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha, certainly is divine, but divine in Vrindavan. Where he's perceived with a special kind of love. That's already been established. This love of Mother Yashoda, and hinted the love of the Brajavadu, the gopis of Vrindavan, the young married girls, Krishna's beloved uh, uh, lovers. Then Damodar. This word has already been established. It evokes this mood of deep affection, bhakta vatsalyata, Krishna has for his devotees. And this pastime shows it because Krishna, who is unlimited, agrees to be bound. So he's saying, you show so much affection to your devotees. You allowed Mother Yashoda to bind you so you could taste her special kind of love. Allow her to express it. Allow this pastime to be tasted for her pleasure and for yours. So this is special invocation, right? Oh, Damodar. Oh, Ananta. You're unlimited. Oh, endless Lord. No limit to your mercy, right? No limit to your pastimes also, right? So by saying Ananta in the sense of unlimited mercy, you can show it to me. You've shown it to so many people. And the next verse, he's going to make a specific prayer. You showed it to Nalakuvara and Manigriva. Why not me? Please. Right? And your pastimes are unlimited. Prabhu. Prabhu is you're like my master, you're unlimited, you're powerful. So you have this inconceivable potency. You can easily do this. You can easily become visible to my eyes, even though you're beyond the grasp of the senses of even the most learned scholars, the most advanced yogis, right? They can't even gain a glance of the rays of your toenails, but you could do that for me, you know. How could he pray like this? I mean, if you know how extraordinary the Lord is, and if you have a sense of how unqualified we are, how could we ever dare to pray like this? But Rupa Goswami has a beautiful prayer where he talks about Ashabandha. I'm bound by hope. Because when I think of the qualities and practices of great devotees in the past, Shukadev Goswami, and he mentions others, said, I could never attain to their level, and yet I see how you have extended your mercy in so many extraordinary ways when you think about pastimes of and when the Lord reveals himself. And he said, so knowing that your mercy is unlimited and that your promise is like that, because also Rupa Goswami was in the association of Mahaprabhu, I'm bound by the hope, bound by the conviction that you can and that you will give me that mercy. And this is something that is repeated to us. We should never be disheartened or lose hope, because Krishna has made that promise in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam. We talked about that. Sadhya hridya varudate chakirtibhishu shushabhis takshanat. Anyone who hears the Bhagavatam, especially those who hear it with faith and respect and with a little urgency, Krishna says, I claim them. And they will. It may take a little time, but I claim them, and that prem will come. So we have come into an extraordinary condition ourselves, and we're being introduced to this prayer. This is the blueprint, the roadmap for our evolution and perfection as well. Isha, supremely independent controller. You're independent. You don't rely on anyone to exhibit your mercy. There's no rules or regulations, right? Krishna Prasada Ja, right? He can awaken that in anyone that he wants at any time. So can his pure devotees. This is described in Vidurya Kadambini, third shower. They are given absolute independence and empowerment to give this to anyone at any time, right? And Mahaprabhu was the ultimate exhibition of that, Mahaprabhu Nityananda. So Isha, please give this to me. I mean, some people might think Isha means great controller, but that quality of controller means nobody can tell you what to do. So please, is this inappropriate to beg like this? No, no, it's not inappropriate because Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavatamati Kriyatam Yadikatopi Labhyate Tatra Lolyam Apimulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukratana Labhyate. You could do austerities and practices for hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes, but until you develop a sense of urgency and greed, right, you, that's the price, right? Tatra Lolyam Api mulyam ekalam, that the root cause, the only cause is greed. So don't be ashamed to pray and have this greed. Krishna likes it. Our gurus like it. I'll tell you this story. I've said it before, but one time in Badger, this is when I was first going to see Gurudev. So it's maybe late 90s, right? Seen him a few times in Badger. And he was speaking, I can't remember. I think it was the time when he was speaking about the Bhagavatam that was later made into a book, Secret Truths of the Bhagavatam, extraordinary lectures. And he was talking about that greed, right? That price. And I was so overwhelmed by that. I was so affected. And so afterwards, he would go down from the hill down to the house that he was staying in. And there was a little room next to a little kitchen. And I went down there, and then Gurudev comes in, and there was nobody there, just a couple devotees. Usually he was surrounded, like bees, surrounding a, beautiful flower. He was always surrounded by devotees, but there's nobody there, one or two devotees. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I was so happy. And I said, oh, Gurudev, I'm living outside. I'm not living in the mott. I want this greed that you're talking about. I was so eager and so, I want this greed. And Gurudev just gives this big smile. You remember his smile and his big eyes, he's lighted up, those blue eyes. And he walks over to me, smiling and laughing. And he goes, very good. And he smacks me on the chest. Very good. Another time, very good. 3 times, hit my chest, my heart. In other words, this is what I want. Just this seed of greed, it means you're on your way. And it was a benediction, right? So then, Vishnu, O all-pervasive one, you who are always inclined to enter the secluded caves and groves of Vrindavan. So generally, Vishnu, in a general sense, means all-pervasive one. You're everywhere, right? But here he's talking about Krishna being all-pervasive in Vrindavan, right? I am here, you're here. You don't have to, you can appear before me easily. And in the notes, referring to what Gurudev is going to explain later, it says he reveals another meaning implied by these names. Although you are boundless, Ananta, and all-pervading, you are also Damodar. You willingly became bound around your waist by your devotee, by extreme affection for your devotee. There's nothing that you won't do. So when the names Ananta, Vishnu, and Damodar are considered together, that unlimited potency, that is an expression most perfectly demonstrated in his compassion. That's what he's calling for. And saying, I know, because ultimately that's what Krishna wants. Srila Prabhupada used to say, that whatever we're desiring, Krishna desires more. He said, if you take 1 step towards Krishna, he will take 10 steps to you. So Krishna has made so much endeavor, right? He comes millennium after millennium. He performs extraordinary pastimes. He comes as Mahaprabhu himself. More than we can ever know, he wants us to come to him. So this prayer is appropriate. So now we move into verse 7. Kuvarat majal bhatamurchaiva yadvat tvaya mochito bhakti bhajau krito cha tata prema bhaktim sakam me prayacha namokshi graho mesti damodareha. O Damodar, Even though you were bound with a rope to the grinding mortar by your mother, you set the two sons of Kuvara, Nala Kuvara and Manigriva, free, in other words, from the curse of Narad, living as Arjun trees, and enabled them to become recipients of the highest possible attainment, bhakti. In the same way, please profusely bestow upon me prema bhakti for you. I long for this alone. I don't want any other kind of benediction. So, in this verse, both Srila Gurudev and Sanatana Goswami, they give briefer commentary, because this is a verse which is kind of reinforcing the points that they've already made, right? So he begins by saying, in this verse 6, Satyavrat Muni prayed for direct darshan of Sri Bhagavan with great eagerness because he was overwhelmed by a special kind of prem vishesh. So we're understanding now that this is awakening in his heart. And again, you go back to Jaiva Dharma, and when you read it over and over, and in the light of this kind of purport, you begin to appreciate what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is doing here, revealing in these conversations how this actually takes place on the foundation also of the Guru, Sri Guru Gopal Guru is talking to him, and it appears like he's giving him tattva, but actually he's planting the realization of these qualities and these experiences in the heart of Vijay Kumar. We're hearing about it, but for us, it's in seed form. For Vijay Kumar, he's planting this, and he's going, oh, now I realize, now I understand, right? So Satyavrat Muni, he's awakened something which hopefully by hearing we become eager for, right? So now he's got this extraordinary longing in his prayers, and a special form of prema bhakti is awakening. Sometimes, now, in saying prem, that's not the fully developed prem that we get when we get our spiritual form, but it's a very advanced form of bhav. Bhav and prem are of the same nature. It's just that prem is fully developed. It can't be experienced as long as we have a material form. It only takes place when we get Vastu Siddhi, when we take birth in the place of Krishna Lila, Mahaprabhu Lila, like that. But it can't be said to be just sadhan, because these moods of love are deeply awakened. So sometimes very advanced bhav is also called prem, right? So he has this extraordinary longing, and it says it's instantly awakened, indicating the sprout of prem, or the stage of bhav bhakti, right? Causing him to realize that such direct darshan is only rarely accomplished. How do we know, that this gives us indication, how it's sometimes said that it's very rare to get a Mahabhagavat guru, but sometimes it's said it's even more rare to find qualified disciples for such guru. And don't become discouraged by that. I mean, we may not be qualified yet, but we're aspiring to become. Qualified means completely dedicated, Vishrambena Guru Seva, right? Like Gurudev, like Srila Prabhupada, those kind. But we're on the way. We're on the way. We're here in Vrindavan. We're hearing these extraordinary things. It's given to us. And, we're sitting here remembering Srila Gurudev talking about this and the joy that we experienced at that time and the yearning and urgency awakening in our heart as well. So he's now determined prema bhakti is the only means to achieve that darshan, right? So he said, okay, this is what I want. Oh, but I have to have prem to get this, right? In bhav, one will get spurti and internal meditation and even be able to perform service in one's internally conceived spiritual form, siddha deha. But prema bhakti means that Krishna will appear directly before you, right? So alternatively, he thinks that, oh, what if he appears before me and then he disappears? Like for Dhruva, right? Or Narad. Oh, then when the Lord appeared and then he disappeared, oh, they were thrown into such despair. And then they had to spend the rest of their lives cultivating more and more their bhakti so they become eligible. So I want prema bhakti because then I can capture the Lord forever. That's what Sanatana Goswami says. But still, he's feeling apprehensive. How could someone as offensive as me attain this most rare treasure? This is appropriate feeling. Humility is a precursor for chanting properly, for practicing bhakti properly. In fact, Gurudev has said that humility is like the same tattva as prema. And the greater the devotee, the greater the humility. Gurudev was so humble. Srila Prabhupada was so humble. They would take on the role of acharya, right, in order to guide and correct us and help us to cultivate the appropriate mood. But sometimes that veil would be lifted and you would see them in such a humble position. I remember one time I went into Gurudev's room. He wanted to see me about something. And I walk in and he addressed me, goes, "Oh, Maharaj." And he said it in such a soft way and it was like a respectful way. I mean, that just came out to me. Oh my God, he's speaking to me in such a soft and respectful way. I'm a nothing that even the title Maharaj he gave to me, I know I'm not qualified in any way. He said the night before our initiation, I was sitting next to them, Maharaj, he said, this ceremony of sannyas doesn't mean you're a sannyasi. It means that you have the opportunity to become a sannyasi. It's very high. Real sannyas. Jaiva Dharma, what does it say? Prem, or at least bhav, right? When you come to that complete detachment. But he spoke like that. It was lifting this veil of humility. And I went, oh my God. I felt so embarrassed the way he said it, so softly, so gently. And other times that would come out. And Srila Prabhupada also, my dear boys and girls, he would speak. I thank you so much for helping me to fulfill the order of my Guru Maharaj. And his voice would choke, right? So now, how can I? I'm an offender. And then he remembers again, Bhakta Vatsalya, right? And so he says, Kuvarat Majo, right? The sons of Kuvera. Look what you did for them. You were Badha Murtyaiva, you were bound by Mother Jashoda, and yet even in that state, you used that and you went between the twin Arjun trees and you liberated these personalities, right? You went between them, you pulled the mortar, and by the force of the touch of that mortar, which was touched by the rope which bound your waist, you liberated them from the curse of material existence. But more than that, you gave them prema bhakti, right? And so he quotes Srimad Bhagavatam to support that, So the shade says, Bhakti Bhajo Katocha, you made them dedicated. The verse in the Bhagavatam, Sanjata Mayi Bhavo Vami Shita Paramo Bhava. That prema for me that you both greatly desired has now fully arisen within your hearts. And because of this prema, you will never again become trapped in material existence. And even for us who are not on that level, I mean, we don't have prema, but any awakening of bhakti, as long as we stay free from offense, will always be protected. In the, I believe it's the 5th chapter of maybe the 6th of the 1st canto, when Narad is explaining to Vyas the glories of bhakti and why that has to be presented in a special way that had not yet been done. That's why he's being invoked to write the Bhagavatam. He says the speciality of bhakti is that one who even once tastes the beauty and the joy of bhakti and the lotus feet of the Lord, even if they fall down, they can't help but remember that again and again. And so we find that in our daily life. At some point we're engaged, we're chanting, and then, another time of the day, we're not chanting, we're not thinking of Krishna, we're doing something else. Maybe we're distracted by the internet or whatever it'll be. We're talking something stupid with our friends, right? That's a way, but then we remember again and remember again. So daily that's happening, but even for times when we may fall away completely. In our own life, that may have happened. I mean, certainly happened with many of us, disciples of Srila Prabhupada. We're engaged very deeply, complete nishta, I have to say. But then when Srila Prabhupada left, so many things happened, and many of us went away, but we were always remembering Srila Prabhupada, the goal of bhakti, the beauty of bhakti. Oh, will we ever practice again? That hope was there in the heart. And because of that, Krishna comes again in the form of his beautiful associates, in this case, Srila Gurudev, and awaken that. It can't be destroyed, right? And look what you did. So even if we're not on prem, if we've seriously taken this up, Krishna will never neglect us. Guru will never neglect us. They make that promise. So Satyavat Muni says, Damodar, you granted prema bhakti to these two sons of Kuvera without any cause, right? Well, there was a cause, Narad Muni's benediction, but nothing they did, right? Nothing they did. It's just the compassion of the pure devotee. His independent compassion wasn't based on them following rules and regulations and the strictures of Vaidhi Bhakti in whatever form. It was that he had compassion on them. They were the sons of his friend, great devotee of the Lord, Kuvera. Oh, look what's happened to them. I'm going to correct them, but I'm going to give them this mercy. And he says, Krishna might say, well, why prema bhakti? Why not liberation, moksha? Otherwise, you might have to take birth again and again with material existence. No. I only want prema bhakti. I don't want moksha. And we may also have to take birth after birth. In fact, it's described in the Madhurya Kadambini that if you're chanting Namabhas, you're freed from all sin. And technically, that means you are liberated. And liberation means no karma. No karma means no material body. So why do devotees take birth again and again? Krishna will give them a semblance of karma, will give them material body so that they continue to practice bhakti. So don't be disturbed by the fact that you have a body and that you have to struggle with it. It's an opportunity and a gift to allow us to perfect our bhakti, right? And to act as an example for others. If we truly understand and embrace this gift, then we can, struggle along and others may be inspired to look at that old codger, When I look at Sridhani Maharaj and I think, oh man, I've been with him for years. He's gone through so many physical struggles. They're just too horrible to contemplate. If I'd gone through 1/3 of them, I would have died, But he just kept going and kept going and kept going. It's inspiring, It's inspiring. Remember when we were in Vrindavan at Giriraj Govardhan and you had that horrible experience, so much pain that he fainted one time. But we're looking out our little window across the way, and we could see Gurudev being tended to by his servants out on a patio in back of his quarters. And we're just feeling, oh, I wish we could be there. Oh, look at those lucky servants. We're over here in this little room, But we're thinking of Gurudev. We're meditating on our service. What could we do? So even our own suffering, it's not just to teach us a lesson. You can use it. Like when I think of my own suffering, I say, nothing like Sridhar Maharaj is going through. I've got to buckle up. I got to man up, so One time he was at the hospital and doctor said, "You've got to stay here." "No way, I'm not staying here. I got work to do. I got service to do." And he storms out of the hospital, gets out to the front of the sidewalk and collapses. And if he wasn't right in front of the hospital, they told him he would have died. So they chartered him up, took him back up, and took care of him, and he lived. But that kind of determination, I'm not going to be bothered by whatever you say. I've got service to do. That's inspirational, you know. That I love that. Um, but Satyavrat Muni, hey, repeated birth and death. What do I care? Let me take all these births, whatever the inauspicious parts are destroyed by prema bhakti, right? That's all I want, you know. And so it could also be understood, please grant me prema bhakti specifically to you, this form of Damodar, right? This form who's bound by a rope to his belly. Why? Not because I want to see you bound all the time, but because that form invokes in me such a sense of your love for your devotees and the extraordinary sweet nature of your Leela. It reveals to me something extraordinary, not just about your devotees, but about you and what you like to experience in relationship to them. And that this kind of prema bhakti only appears in Vrindavan, right? This extraordinary prema bhakti, you see a kind of prema bhakti in Dwarka, right? But Sadarani, Samanjasa, Sadarani like Kubja, Samanjasa like the queens, but only in Vrindavan, Samartharati, this completely selfless, joyful bhakti between Krishna and his devotees, which allows them to experience the sweet, sweet pastimes like Ananda Kunde that drown all the inhabitants in bliss and drowns Krishna in bliss. That's what he wants, right? I want to see this Vrindavan Bihari, the one who blissfully enjoys in Vrindavan in that threefold bending form. I want to be there with you. And we're doing this parikram all month long to invoke those memories and desire and to awaken them in our heart. So Sanatana Goswami ends his commentary on that verse at that part. And Gurudev, he expands on it in so many beautiful ways, but that's the essence of it. So now we'll go to the 8th verse. Right, Chidandi Maharaj. I'm very happy, grateful to have a chance to be required to forcefully try to understand and meditate on these verses and these pastimes and speak them to such an eager audience, and pray for your benediction that something might manifest in my dark, unworthy heart. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Braj Mandal Parikram ki jai. Sri Damodarastakam and Satyavrat Muni ki jai. Haribol.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Maharaj. That was absolutely beautiful. That essence that you brought out by using the memories of Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada really hit home. It really touched my heart. So I'm really grateful, because actually these memories can make things so much easier for us as sadhaks, to be around the Vaishnavas and Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada, to have those memories, and then it builds on, every year it gets stronger and more is added and more condensed. So that's one thing that I was just taking away from it. And you really did well with taking both of those verses and running through that so eloquently. So Marge, I'm a bit lost for words, but I'm really thankful that you're here and you're doing this program with us. You've been a really enthusiastic and powerful, like you're bringing a lot of energy, and it feels like we're really going on program. So thank
That's
you.
because of Sri Dandi Maharaj.
Both of you, both of you.
I was unwilling to drink the nectar of Braj Mandal Parikram, but he forcibly made me drink it and to come along on this journey. He would have done it himself.
I'm only reflecting your enthusiasm. I'm just reflecting back from you. Nothing more. Nothing more.
I don't have any real enthusiasm, but I remember years ago, maybe around 2002, when I was talking with Bhaktivedanta Sridhar Maharaj, who was Rasananda at that time. And you know him, moon-faced, always so joyful in his kata. And he was telling me, trying to teach us how to do kata. And he said, you should, this are not exact words, but he was indicating you should always act very enthusiastically, almost like putting on a drama, like a show. You know, he said that people are very affected by that. So even when I don't really feel anything, I kind of fake it. And in that way, hopefully something real will come out of it. The Abbas, right? From the
We'll
Abbas.
write all this down in the book of humility, Maharaj. All this is written in the book of humility.
Parvananda Saraswati Pad writes in his Vrindavan Mahatmya that one of his praises that I know I'm lying, but this lie will eventually I know that you are so merciful, speaking Srimati, that you're so merciful that even this lie you will make truthful. So if Prabhupada Saraswati Pad is saying it.
That's nice.
Yeah. See, what's good about this? See, next to Tridani Maharaj, I'm very small. See, my picture is very small and he's very large right there. You
On
know,
my
that's,
screen, your picture is big. Your picture takes up the whole screen.
oh, in mine, I just like this little window and you're also a window, but very big in your window.
Oh
So,
my God. That won't be a good influence for you.
well, I listen to him every day, you know, because I listen to the audios. So every day I'm hanging out with Tridani Maharaj for years. All right. So let's listen to him again. 8th verse.
Yes.
You show that he has to introduce me, yeah?
Oh, right. Okay, let me do it. Well, this Maharaj doesn't need no introduction. He's the heart of our virtual program. So without further ado, I invite Sripad Tridani Maharaj to join and speak the last verse for us. Hari Hari Bol Maharaj.
Okay. Dandavat Yashodhari. Dandavat. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadali Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga. I'm offering my profound dandavats unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions of times unto the lotus feet of our most beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my prostrated Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vansha kalpa tarupyascha, kripa sindhubevacha, patitanam bhavnebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, namo namaha. So listening to all these compliments, we can say, just reduces my confidence to almost nil. I have none of this. Completely show bottle, totally. So I think Vaikanis Maharaj is trying to trip me up deliberately. But anyway, remembering Srila Gurudev will continue. And what Shripad Vaikanis Maharaj spoke today, I thought was personally ecstatic. I relished every word he was saying and conveying. Very, very beautiful. Right on topic, fully line by line through the 2 verses, very expertly presented this mood of Satyavrat Muni. And he was constantly referencing, which this whole Astakam is about, the escalation. And we understand, we know very well that the quality of Rag Marg is this mood of greed, he quoted this verse, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavatamati, Kriyatamiti Tatra Lolyam. This lolyam, this greed, is the essential ingredient. This is why the Vaishnavas, the devotees, they love this Astakam so much in this month. When we chant this Astakam in this month of Kartik, everything is multiplied in this month of Kartik. The kripa that is available is multiplied. There's absolutely no doubt about it. If we make one sesame seed of extra endeavor in this month, the remuneration is just phenomenal. Really. What to speak of traveling through the whole 30 odd days of this month to all these different, very, very ecstatic Braj pastimes. We have been very, very fortunate to have attended every single day of the parikrama. We've walked through the entirety of Braj. Simultaneously, we've remembered this Astakam as a background. This Astakam has been on the boil, so to speak, the whole time. And the nature of this Astakam, its escalation of mood, has been there prominently all the time. And Srila Gurudev would present this dynamic always in the same way, that this escalation. We were with Bhaktivedanta Ashram Maharaj the other day. He was remembering how Gurudev would just push us right to the very end of this month of Kartik. And we would feel that we were ready just to drop, but still he would push us more and more and more, especially these last 5 days. So he gave us directly this escalating impression. The mercy that we received from performing these parikramas, and with Vaikanas Maharaj in particular, many times we were both together. And we wouldn't really know what we were doing at the time, but afterwards we appreciated more and more the speciality and the gift, the enormity of the gift, that even today, practically, 15, 16 years later, we're still carrying the same vigorous intensity that was bestowed upon us, this gift that was bestowed upon us during this month. And coming into this 8th verse is the culmination of all this prema bhakti that Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj was referencing constantly. This prema bhakti. How can we as sadhaks, as conditioned souls, as the most unfortunate living entities struggling with our conditioned state, aspire for this? But Gurudev has explained very, very clearly, very simply, we are following the path of rag, pravriti, vaidhi bhakti. We are performing vaidhi bhakti, but our focus and intention is on the conclusion of rag. Unless this focus is there, our bhakti essentially, or our practice of sadhana, amounts to zero. He would say this in reference to the verse that I was describing a couple of days ago. This kleshakni shubhada is sadhana bhakti. And unless that sadhana bhakti is being focused on bhav bhakti, then our sadhana is, because then what is it focused on? It'll be focused on moksha, or even Vaikuntha prem perhaps. And here we have in this amazing Astakam that Satyabrat Muni is saying for all of our benefit, Varam Deva Moksha, Namoksha Adimva, that he doesn't even want moksha. In this 4th verse is very pivotal. And then in the 5th verse, the escalation of there is very marked. He just wants to have a spurti of the beautiful face of Bala Gopal. And then this escalation again is increased in the 6th verse that Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj explained today in detail, of Sankirtan Ras, the names of the Lord, by chanting the names of the Lord. And we have access to this today. This is the remarkable gift. Mahaprabhu has given us the focus, the goal, and he's given us the abhideya, the means to attain the goal, which is Sankirtan Ras. So now Satyabrat Muni, he's applying this in his desperation of begging to have his goal achieved. This is very, very wonderful to consider. So that was in the 6th verse, his Sankirtan of the Lord's holy names, Deva, Ananta, Damodara, these holy Isha, these names of the Lord. The Lord likes to hear his names glorified, because each of the names, as we were hearing just now, have a unique meaning to them, a unique speciality to the names. And the Lord is very much appreciative of the sadhak chanting those names. So then from the names, then we come to the 2 reprobates of Nalokuvera and Manigriva. And Satyabrat Muni is saying, well, even if they can achieve this prem, then surely you will benedict me. So without this merciful benediction coming from the Lord, this kripa is what he's asking. He's ready to do the effort, but he's requesting the Lord to make this benediction to him again and again. So this is the dynamic in this 7th verse. Now we come into this remarkable 8th verse, the conclusion. It's not the conclusion. Don't think for a moment it's the conclusion. It's described that because Satyabrat Muni was feeling the immense confidentiality of the subject matter, that he chose to conclude at this point. It's also described that perhaps his own personal ecstasy was rising to such a peak that he had to stop at this point. But it's not the conclusion. This is not, we don't ever end this Damodarastakam. It's eternally evolving. We get this experience and we get on the ladder, so to speak, on this movement, this process. It's unfolding, but it has to be continual. It has to be moving always. Our bodies are evolving, our consciousness are evolving, and our aspiration must be evolving. So we see in these regular Kartik times when we go through this Astakam, what was I thinking last year? Sripad Vaikanis Maharaj is also sharing that in previous years, we reached a certain sort of level of comprehension. And now in this year again, that level will increase more and more because of the mercy of our Guru Varga. So coming into this verse, Sanatana Goswami is describing, he says at this point, the sage understands that only by the mercy of Bhagavan's loved ones can he attain his desired goal, and that which he cannot even conceive of. We can't even conceive of what is the nature of this prema bhakti. We are hearing about it, talking about it, imagining it, thinking about it, and getting some type of mercy to experience it to our degree of our adhikar, but it's the dynamic is this thirst is always increasing. It must be increasing. So without this understanding, he offers obeisances to Sri Bhagavan's most beloved, Bhagavati Srimati Radhika. He jumps right ahead, and now he comes to contemplation on Sri Radhika. What is that prem that Krishna can actually bestow? Krishna can bestow the prem that he has himself for the Brijvasis. But what is the prem that the Brijvasis have for Krishna is even more than that. Especially the Sakis. They have even more prem than Krishna has. And especially Srimati Radhika. She is the quintessence, the height of all prem in existence, Aradhana. She has every fiber of her body only exclusively focused on Krishna's pleasure, Krishna's satisfaction. Whereas Krishna himself, he is thinking about this Bahushaka, so many different areas of his focus that he's reciprocating with. But Sri Radhika is only focused on him. So Satyabrat Muni, he starts to speak, Namo Radhikaya. He's mentioning her name right in the very last stanza, this 8th verse. He said, in fact, by offering obeisances to Sri Radhika, the sage actually conveys his obeisances to all the gopis, or a different understanding is that the sage is offering his pranam to Sri Radhika alone, because he regards her as the foremost of all the gopis. So he's had this appreciation after his desperate desire to see Balagopal. He's been benedicted with some kripa. How else can he have this desire now to even mention the name of Radhika? The whole Astakam has been about Balagopal. So now we're witnessing the actual truth of the mercy that Satyabrat Muni has attained. He's attained the contemplation on Sri Radhika. How did that manifest except by mercy? So this Astakam is not some sort of dull or formal presentation. It's a living, moving experience, a living, moving reality of the sadhak's evolution of prem to Krishna. It has this ability because Satyabrat Muni now is contemplating on Sri Radhika. This wasn't in his consciousness initially at all. In the first, second, third verses, it's all about the Braj Leela, so many Ananda Kunda, the pastimes in Braj, but it's not alluding to the moods of the Sakhis. But now in this 8th verse, that's why I just said previously, it doesn't conclude here. Actually, in a sense, this Astakam just begins here. It's like many times our Gurudev would say, don't think that we are coming to the end of our parikrama. Our parikrama, in fact, the reality has just begun in the heart. Whatever jewels we've experienced and appreciated during this parikrama are just going to take off with our contemplation on them in the next 11 months until the next Kartik. So it's alive. It's absolutely alive with this ecstasy. There's an experiential taste that the sadhak will appreciate. So then Sanatana Goswami continues. Furthermore, the sage says, due to the love that all your devotees, Tadiya, have for you, they are very dear to her, to Radhika, because Radhika only wants to please Krishna. So all of Krishna's devotees are so dear to Sri Radhika. And in the ultimate conclusion, we are going to be begging for Sri Radhika's seva, to join Sri Radhika's camp. And because she has the power of the focus just to please Krishna, the love for Krishna more than anyone else in existence. And as Sripad Vaikyanas Maharaj beautifully alluded, that similarly with this prem mood, the mood of humility is manifesting simultaneously. And who is the most humble personality in existence is Sri Radhika, because she has the most prem. So we are desirous to become the maidservants of Sri Radhika. Now, this is the principal teaching and message of my beloved Gurudev through his whole teaching, his whole lifetime. He's giving this one principal focus, the desire to become a Palyadasi of Sri Radhika. And it seems initially unattainable. But when we consider this movement of consciousness through this Astakam and appreciating Satyabrat Muni's evolution of consciousness, he has come to this conclusion himself. He's come to this conclusion that I want this highest prem, and this highest prem is in the hands of Sri Radhika. She is the one in the heart of Sri Radhika who has that highest prem for Brajendranandan Shyam Sundar. He says, so what can be said about how dear you must be to her? So how dear is Krishna to Sri Radhika? Krishna, this prem, this Gopi prem, this is what the entire Adi Leela chapter 4 is all about. This is the conclusion, the focus of Mahaprabhu's gift to humanity. Only singularly in the day of Lord Brahma, only one time, this gift is opened out, very confidential. There's a build-up. We're now in the 7th Manvantara. It's taken 7 Manvantaras time for the jivas to evolve to even having a semblance of eligibility to hear this confidential truth, this service of the Sakis to Krishna. This is a very, everything is going evolution. Our consciousnesses are moving in an evolutionary way, in a rising of ecstasy. This is prem. Prem is never static itself. It's always, because the Krishna's desire to taste that prem is without end. It just, the dynamic of prem, it just increases its thirst for more and more and more. And what is necessary for that is to have the separation aspect also. The separation must be there to increase the desire for union. And even in the union, there's a fear of impending separation. So again, everything about the sadhak's journey is an escalation to come to this platform of praying. So this praying has to be considered fully. And the sadhak should never be disheartened when we understand that expression that I just said previously, that Gurudev speaks regularly, this rag, pravriti, vaidhi, bhakti. We are performing vaidhi bhakti, but our focus is fully intended on opening out the jewels of raga nuga bhakti. And this has to be spoken about. In most societies, in most forums today, it's either spoken of in a very familial way, almost sahajiya way sometimes. This is not going to touch the heart. It's going to touch the sensations of the senses, right? If it's presented without Mahaprabhu's pure tattva behind it. If you're hearing Rasa, because in Vrindavan, for example, they have the Rasa Leela pastimes all over the place. And many people go there and they love the pastimes. But if it's not backed with the conclusions of Mahaprabhu, something is definitely going to be lacking. It's going to be on a sensational, sort of almost glamorous platform. It's not going to be touching the core of the heart and our connection with this world. So without Mahaprabhu, this path is ineffectual. And in this Adi Lila, chapter 4, Prem Ras Niryase, Korite Esva, Mahaprabhu has come himself to taste this rag, and he's come to give it. Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karite Prachan. So it's essential for us. I'm saying this with a mood because we get something of this teaching, but we also have to share this teaching to our ability. We have to share this Ragma because this is the gift of Mahaprabhu. If we're not trying to share this experience with the world, and this gift is very sensitive, it's very sweet, it's very subtle. It can't just be broadcast really on a large collective platform. The large collective platform is more in the Vaidhi vein. But this Raganuga Bhakti is much more exclusive and confidential. And if we find anywhere in our experience where this is being propagated, we should run to that. Just like that verse, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Krit, wherever we hear this mood of enthusiasm, that place we should try and position ourselves. And if we're not hearing that, at least we should try and generate that within ourselves. So now, Gurupad Vaikanas Maharaj has been so kind tonight. He's left me the whole of Gurudev's commentary. Normally he takes up the commentary of Gurudev, but tonight he's given me the whole commentary. So now my Gurudev is writing that he writes a beautiful synopsis here. He says in the 5th verse, in the course of Sri Satyabrat Muni's prayer, we notice the escalation in the mood of deep longing. This deep longing itself is an experience of amazing sweetness. If that deep longing starts to subside, we should become frantic. We should know our consciousnesses have been hijacked by some type of Maya, isn't it? There's been some veil to restrict that consciousness of that hungry longing. It's that hunger that I want to embody, I want to pick up. That hunger can always be inspired through our diligent, careful chanting and our sadhana, but not just by itself. We have to be focused on, we have to know what is Bhava Bhakti. We have to study, like Vaikanis Maharaj is saying regularly, we have to study this Jaiva Dhamma to understand this chapter 22, chapter 21 and 22 are describing clearly what are the symptoms of bhakti. What is that, Krishna? What is that? The first line, Maharaj, of the symptoms of bhakti. Shantiya, avyakta, kalatvam. What is it? Manasunyate. These 9 symptoms of bhava bhakti. Shanta, avyakta, kalatvam. No, just forgotten this verse for a second. You have it? Shanti avyakta kalatvam. Manasu. Oh, yes. Viraktya manasunyata. And Maharaj was just speaking tonight very beautifully about this quality of ashabandha. He was encouraging us all to sustain this hope, this extraordinary hope, ashabandha, the highest hope of this achievement. Again, this longing is what is going to be tasted by the sadhak. So this is the beginning of Bhava Bhakti. And it is Sri Guru who will benedict the sadhak with this direction. And without the association of Rasik, Bhavukik, Tattvavit, Vaishnava associates, this will not manifest. We must have that sadhu sangha in order for this gift to actually flourish. It must be there, and we must hunger for it. And it's the hunger that will bring it about. So now Gurudev is, he's speaking, there's 3 essential verses describing Bhava Bhakti. My Gurudev is writing the conclusion now, this 8th verse, the highest conclusion, and how to attain it. This Krishnam Smaram Janam Kasya, Preshtam Nija Samahitam, Tat Tat Kata Ratat Kaso, Kuryad Varsham, Rajay Sada. The devotee should constantly remember Sri Krishna, along with Sri Krishna's dearmost associates, whom he chooses to follow while permanently residing in Braj. He should become attached to always hearing and the narrations of their pastimes with Sri Krishna. So this is what we have been doing during this month of Kartik. We've been hearing Krishna's pastimes in Braj. Actually, for all of us, if we've been listening carefully, we've been experiencing Braj. I know personally, each day, I was just sharing with one devotee today, the whole 30 days of this parikrama, I personally have been immersing myself in each place that we've been going to. Like yesterday was Varshana. So the whole day from morning till evening, I was just remembering all the different pastimes in Varshana. And I was physically thinking I was in Varshana. And the devotees can all do this remembrance, this smaranam of the different places. And we're trying to share our experiences to excite those remembrances of those places. But this is, we've gone through the different geographical parts of the Braj Mandal and this immersion in Vrindavan itself. What does it mean to reside in Braj? It means constantly to be revolving around all of these different locations of Braj. What takes place in Nandagan? What is in on that Nandishwara hill? What is the mood of Nanda Baba's palace on the hill with Mother Yashoda?
What are the moods there that are displayed? Because very close to Nandagan is Udavkyari. This is where the gopis are residing for 100 years. There are a myriad of pastimes that are floating around in Nandagan. What to speak when we go to Kelanvan, the beautiful, sweet, playful pastimes. What to speak of when we go to Bandiravan, the beautiful cowherd grazing pastime. We can go to each of these forests regularly. This is what it means to reside in Braj permanently. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to sit here in Braj. It's a lot easier to remember these pastimes when you are physically present in Braj. But if you're not present in Braj, you simply have to remember all these wonderful pastimes that we've been describing for the last month. Try to take them to heart. Refresh them constantly. Look at the map of Braj. Go to the different forests. Bandiravan, Baladev's country. Bandiravan, what takes place in the wedding, that Gandharva marriage between Radha and Krishna, the wrestling match between Radha and Krishna. These pastimes take place in Bandiravan. Then Bailvan, where Lakshmi Devi is trying for entrance into the Rasa Leela. And then we have Lohavan, Mahavan, Gokul, where this Dambanda Leela is taking place. So open the hearts to absorbing all of these pastime places. Then we will be physically present in Braj all year. Anytime we can be sitting on a bus in New York and we can remembering the pastime. There's a pastime when Gurudev was in Boston, USA, and he was walking through a car park, and a driver of one of those caterpillar machines, those bulldozer machines, was driving past, and he looked at Gurudev, was walking with 3 or 4 devotees, and he turned to us and said, that driver is just seeing a man in saffron walking through the park here. He doesn't know that I'm walking in Nandagan with all the Sakis. He doesn't know that. This is what he said to us. Gurudev was walking there. He was immersed in those Braja pastimes, even though externally it appeared he was in a New York car park. So what does that mean for the sadhak? And when it starts with this escalating mood, that is the dynamic of this astakam. Satyabrat Muni has taken us from the highest tattva, Satchit Ananda Rupam, from the Mangalacharyan, from the first verse, and he's brought us right through to Radhikaya, this final 8th verse, mentioning even the name of Radha. Krishna becomes practically fainting when he hears the name Radha. When Mother Yashoda mentions to Krishna that she's going to take some beautiful cloths to Sri Radha, Krishna just relishes hearing Mother Yashoda say, Radha, this name Radha is so loaded, it's so powerful. So then Gurudev describes this 2nd verse. There's 3 verses for our sadhan in Bhav Bhakti. This Seva Sadak Rupena, Siddha Rupena Chatri, Tad Bhava Lipsana Karya, Braja Lokan Ashrataha. This desiring to obtain that particular bhav, he should closely follow in the footsteps of a particular associate of in Braj, under their guidance, and should engage in service, both in his eternal form as external form, as a sadhak, and his eternal and internally with his perfected spiritual body. So externally, I'm performing the rigors, we can say, of sadhan bhakti. But internally, I'm remembering the pastimes of eternal service to that highest personality of Sri Radhika. This is Radha Dasyan. And this is what Gurudev has perpetually pushed within our consciousnesses. I described a little while ago that I had no idea. I still have no idea. But at the same time, when we first heard this 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, it just seemed absolutely off the scale, inconceivable. But now some reality is coming to that. What does that mean to serve Sri Radhika? Who is Sri Radhika? Sri Radhika is embodied in her waters in Sri Radhakund. It's the truth. What Rupa Goswami is saying in the 11th verse of Upadeshamrita, that this Radhakund is directly Sri Radhika. If we simply remember Sri Radhika. And how to remember Sri Radhika? We can remember Radhika with these prayers that my Gurudev quotes at the end of this 8th verse. He's saying, Yasya kadapi vasanam kala. Oh, I can't see that. Can I have that light? Yasya kadapi vasanam chalakalaneto dayati dare pavanena kritatamani yogindram durgamagatir madhusodanopi tasya namostu vishabhanu visheti tasya namostu vishabhanu visheti. I offer my obeisances to even the direction facing the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj. Just the direction, Sri Radhika. She completely captivates the heart of Madhusudan Sri Krishna, the performer of honey-like pastimes, whom the greatest yogis really attain. When a gentle gust of wind playfully touches her cloth and carries its sweet fragrance towards Krishna and touches her body, he embraces it to his heart and feels that his life has become blissfully fulfilled. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead of all existence, is saying this himself about just the fragrance that emanates from Sri Radhika. What is that potency of that Shakti Tattva, that personality of Sri Radhika? And then again, Gurudev quotes in this 8th verse. This is all for our meditation on the summum bonum of the Prayojan Tattva. This is what we're getting from this 8th verse. Venum karan nipatitam shakilam sikandam prastam chapita vasanam rajarajasuno yasya kadaksha saragaratava murtitasya tam radikam paricharami kadarasena. When the heart of Brajaraj's son, Sri Krishna, is pierced by the arrows of Srimati Radhika's sidelong glance, he drops his flute, his peacock feather falls from his turban, and his upper cloth becomes disheveled, and he begins to faint. Oh, when will I render her loving service that is saturated with ras? He's walking beside Madhumangal, and he's seeing Radhika, and his flute slips from his hand. His pitamba slips down. Madhumangal is elbowing him in the side. Hey, your elders are here. Don't behave. Krishna is completely overwhelmed by this sidelong glance of Radhika. What is the potency of that sidelong glance? Only my beloved Gurudev is explaining these topics to us. What would we do without our divine Guru Varga? How would we have any idea of these moods? So we have to understand, we have to take this guidance and instruction from our Guru Varga about these topics. There is no other way. There is no other way to enter into these pastimes except under the guidance of pure Guru, under the guidance of those personalities who are serving that Guru, who have received those jewels simultaneously. This is called Shiksha. There's Diksha and Shiksha. If our Diksha Guru is not giving us this ingredient, then we must look for Shiksha to actually give us that ingredient. But that ingredient must come to capitalize on the gifts of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Otherwise, we're going to waste our birth again. It must be connecting with Mahaprabhu's truths. And again, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described that while the gopis were anxiously searching for Sri Krishna, they saw a young lady's footprints next to his and exclaimed, Anaya radito nunam Bhagavan Hare Ishvara yan novahya Govinda prito yam anayad raha. That this is the only time that Radhika's name is mentioned in the whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So my Gurudev is bringing these quotes into this last 8th verse to revive us in our connection with Sri Radhika. He's saying Sri Radha is Krishna's eternal beloved. Srila Sanatana Goswami confirms this in his commentary by saying, Tatas charan dayan prakshe sa nitya priyai veti. Even without considering her worship of you, she is eternally your dearmost beloved, Nitya Priya. Consequently, Sri Radha is dear to all. This is when my Gurudev is in his highest ecstasy, when he's glorifying Sri Radha. Raghunath Das Goswami displays his firm dedication to Sri Radha in Manashiksha also. O mind, always regard Rajavipini Chandra Sri Krishna to be the life and soul of my worshipable goddess, Sri Radhika, the queen of Vrindavan. I'm saying these to encourage us that wherever we are on the planet, we can be taking these verses, meditating on these verses, be in Vrindavan, hearing the moods of these acharyas, Raghunath Das, Shukadev Goswami, all these personalities, Rupa Goswami, remembering these personalities with great faith and dedication, and remembering their divine words to connect this deep longing to us, to our Ishtadev. And then finally, my Gurudev concludes with this final prayer. Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Varadram Tato Mamanasti Katina Kapi. I worship Srimati Radhika, who has lotus petal eyes. Lotus petal eyes, that means they come right back to her ears practically. So beautiful. I remember Sri Radhika, whose face is sweetly smiling. And I speak of her whose heart is melting with compassion. My life has no other purpose than serving her. These are my Gurudev's concluding words to this Damodarastakam. Radhika, Seva to Sri Radhika. This is the principal teaching of my Gurudev. This is what he's pushed into our hearts. This desire to become a Palyadasi of Sri Radhika. And it's attainable in perhaps future lives, but we have to begin that sadhan bhajan with this focus of what is Bhava Bhakti. And we're following that focus diligently, carefully. Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj was saying that time when he went in and spoke to Gurudev about his fortune to, what were you saying? You were very enthusiastic. You wanted that greed to come in your heart. And I can remember a similar experience that we'd heard Gurudev speak about Vishnu Priya the night before in Rup Sanatan. And it was such an electric talk that Gurudev had given. I was in so much happiness hearing him speak. And in the morning, just as he was coming out the back door of Rup Sanatan, I ran up to him and I said, "Oh, Gurudev, what you were speaking last night was just so ecstatic. I was so enthusiastic about it." And Gurudev said, exactly like Vaikanas Maharaj just described, his eyes widened, his huge, broad smile was there, because this was what Gurudev wanted. He wanted to see our appreciation of his Harikatha. He loved to hear that appreciation. And then when he saw my appreciation, he said, "Come with me now." And then immediately I walked behind him and we walked along the bank of the Jamuna very fast. He was walking in a completely, almost like intoxicated pace. And I can remember just running along behind him, just that mood. But this is what we have to have. We have to have these drops of experience with that personality who's going to carry us into these moods. Because without that personality, we cannot attain this Bhava Bhakti. And therefore, when we remember our Brajmantal Parikrama, because now we are winding down, and tomorrow is our very last day of this Brajmantal Parikrama, we'll glorify Pujapad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, who chose deliberately to leave on this very last day so we would celebrate the glories of the Vaishnavas. Srila Pramod Puri Maharaj lived to be over 100 years old. He was over 100 years old, performed the most remarkable bhajan. Yes, Wednesday is the last day. Wednesday is tomorrow here in India. Correct?
No, tomorrow is Tuesday.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm jumping ahead. Okay, I'm jumping ahead. Tomorrow is Kokilvan. Yes, yes. So on
And tomorrow is Puri Maharaj.
yes, and tomorrow is Brahmapura. Yes, it's tomorrow. So, but the point that I'm making is by remembering the Vaishnavas, simultaneous to the Leelas, simultaneous to Braj, this is the whole package of our Braj Mandal Prikrama. So we've remembered many Vaishnavas. We began on the first Purnima, the Sarat Purnima, by remembering the Tirabhav of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. And then during this Parikrama, we've had the Tirabhav of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the Tirabhav of Srila Vamna Maharaj, the Tirabhav of Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Maharaj, the Tirabhav of Srila Rup Siddhanti Maharaj, and the Tirabhav of or the Avirbhav of Bhakti Dwight Madhav Maharaj just the other day. All these luminaries have sprinkled their mercy throughout this Kartik Parikrama for us to pick up their specialities and mercy. Simultaneously, we've had the pastime. Simultaneously, we've had this Dhammanda Leela throughout. So our fortune is immense. And we pray to have the adhikar to catch this fortune and to capitalize on it and go forward in the next year. So Brajmandal Parikrama ki jai. Sri Sachibrant Muni's divine Damodarastakam ki jai. Sri Dhammanda Leela in Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Because I've made this point previously that the Leela that's described in the 9th chapter, it complements the Astakam, or the Astakam complements the Leela. They're separate. We can say, because the Astakam is the aspiration of the sadhak's journey to attain that prem. And the actual Leela is a description of this prem in Vatsalya Bhav of Mother Yashoda. So this Vatsalya prem we're appreciating from the Leela. So all of these immense jewels are being sprinkled on the sadhaks. So we should have no lacking in any sense during this Kartik month. And we should feel satisfied and grateful to our Guru Varga for benedicting so much wealth of the path of prem, which is capsulated within these 8 verses of the Damodarastakam. So thank you for being patiently listening. So I've sort of spoken a little bit erratically perhaps, but I hope you can see some consistency through what I've tried to present. I'm thinking in my mind consistently, but it doesn't always come out consistently. It comes out a bit erratically, but I'm meditating on this Damodar Astakam and how its inspiration is pushing us towards Bhav Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. So thank you all so much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindhubevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. All glories to Srila Gurudev. All glories to our Guru Bhakta. Thank you. So, I think the MC.
Maharaj. Yes,
Oh.
I'm the MC now.
Here you are.
In a shocking turn of events. We couldn't pay Yash's hourly fee. We ran out, so we've had a significant downgrade. Wonderful, Maharaj. It wasn't at all disjointed. It was a lovely path that your Harikata took us on, taking us to many different places, like you've taken us to many different places in this month, and reflecting from start to finish on Sri Damodar Ashtakam. I will have to read this book now.
Good, good, good.
But first, I'm re-listening to Jiva Dharma because I missed Jiva Dharma. I haven't listened to it for a very long time. And Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj keeps making reference to it. So yes, that's next. But yes, thank you so much, Maharaj. Not just for today, but for all your Qatar and for staying with us. Were you gonna say something, Sripad Vaikanas Maharaj? I see you're unmuted.
No, I mean, I said enough. I want to hear so much, but I can see a couple of faces that look like they're eager to say something. I see old Mahabooty there. He always likes to have a few ending words, you know. Am I correct? Dun, dun. He looks like he's ready to say something.
Haribol Dandavat, please accept my most humble obeisances. Uh, this has been a very wonderful month for especially those of us that didn't get a chance to go on very many parikramas, or in my case, I think I only went on one with Chilagurde. So I'm very appreciative. And I think Tridandi Maharaj, you were like reminded me like of the what I know of Prabodhananda Saraswati, who he didn't worry. Sometimes if you read his literature, it wasn't like an orderly fashion. It's like eruptions from his heart. So even those years more orderly, but we were feeling the eruptions of hearts, as Srila Gurudev used to say, that, you know, a real preacher, that fire within heart, it erupts like a volcano. You know, he told me that it's automatic. And with those realizations, I think any of us were feeling the closeness, both you, Vaikanas Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj, and Sudadwaiti Maharaj, even Name Maharaj, we were feeling that closeness of both Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev just by your association. So, and so many wonderful things that I know I missed in reading. So, as an old devotee, not as a senior one, not as a good one, but we don't know how fortunate, as you were saying, you were reminding us the fortune of all of us to come to, you know, in this line and being able to hear these things. But we're also very fortunate. We see that, you know, you're following Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada also, and our whole Guru Varg is actually bringing us closer and reminding us, you know, we need to take more serious step forwards in our own devotional commitments. And I think that's the end result of also of this Kartik Parikrama, that somehow or other that we, you know, become enthusiastic to move forward. And you've accomplished so many things this Zoom. So I would, and I'm not a very humble person, but with all my heart, I'm very much appreciative to all of you, the speakers, and, you know, that have given this opportunity to all of us to remember and hear, and actually feel the presence of our gurus, our Diksha Shiksha gurus throughout this whole month by your wonderful narration. So much appreciative. Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna.
One thing
Um,
about, I just real quick, that, you know, I'm sure a lot of devotees that are listening, they're thinking, oh, how could I ever speak? You know, they hear us and we feel ourselves very unworthy and very incompetent. But you're thinking, oh, this is such beautiful kata. It's a journey. I remember back when I took sannyas, and then the year after, Tridani Maharaj took sannyas, and we were up on the stage with Gurudev. And at that time, there were some really powerful and learned personalities who were on the stage, and there was a very high bar, very high expectation. If Gurudev called on you, what you would say and how you would say it. And we used to sit there and confide in each other. Oh, I hope he doesn't call on me. Oh, what's he going to talk about today? You know, and trying to get prepared, you know, and feeling like frightened.
Try to hide somewhere.
Yeah.
But generally, Gurudev was cognizant of that, and he was most often, if we were going to be called on, we would be told in advance what it would be. And it'd usually be what we call in America a softball question, a softball topic,
I don't
And
remember that. Most of the time it was sprung on us,
Yeah.
no,
dropped on our
later,
heads.
not
We
the
were
first few
traumatized.
years, not the first few years. The first few years, there was a little leeway. Then, then the expectations got a little higher. Um, yeah, but it'd be like that. But anyway, my point being that um, the way to learn to give kata is to give kata. Sadhan and sadhya are the same. It's just a question of degree. So in your own way, even, to your own computer, just practice talking a little bit after you've read, and you'll find greater and greater capacity. Krishna gives that, mataks matir jnanam apohanam cha. The other day when, and sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't. The other day, I was trying to talk. I couldn't even remember basic prayers. They just went blank, you know, but you just keep trying. They say that when you're trying to learn to ride a horse, oftentimes that horse knowing how, an experienced will throw you off, but you have to get back on the horse, and then you'll, be able to do it. Otherwise, you'll never be able to do it. So
Maharaj,
yeah.
just want to mention something that I have a schedule that the devotees might like to consider, is that I'm teaching Bhagavatam all the year to different students around the world. And my method, I think, is really good. They have to read the chapter, then they have to speak it into an audio for 10 minutes. So we have the qualities of Shravanam first, hearing, and then Kirtan, which is speaking, which is what you're saying. So the devotees, they learn to speak the contents of the chapter in an audio every week. They're speaking, they have to speak just the contents. It's only 10 minutes because I can't cope with too many more. And then they'll have smaranam, then they'll have remembrance of it. So if in your own particular fields of spreading Krishna consciousness, that might be an interesting idea for you to encourage those to share their, like a chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. It takes a week to study, and then make a small audio, speak it. So what Vaikanas Maharaj was sharing, this practicing to speak, it's a start. And then smaranam will come. Once you study it and then speak it, then you'll remember it. Right?
Right. That's
Shravanam,
correct.
Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. That's the process.
And a lot when we first started speaking, there were sannyasi scholars. I mean, it appears they were just like spouting out from their remembrances, their knowledge of scripture. And we felt, oh my goodness, I can't do that. I've not read like that. Um, but Gurudev, when he would speak from the Vyasa, he would have his own book in front of him, and he would use it as a guide, because he wanted to make sure that he wanted to stay on topic, what he wanted to speak about. I mean, he could have spoken about anything at length, but he always used his book or his notes. Wherever he went, he had notes. In Badger, he had notes. He prepared. So don't think that you have to have it all up here. You can have your notes and the book in front of you, and then follow it, and then paraphrase and expand a little bit. But as soon as you start doing it, the ability will come. But you can use those as a guideline.
I can remember one time in Malaysia watching Gurudev speak, and somehow he gave me a special vision. I saw like 10 Gurudevs sitting above him, and each of those Gurudevs were doing different activities. One was writing, one was chanting, one was talking like this. And all of those activities were being funneled down into this singular person of Gurudev sitting on the Vyasasana. And I had the understanding that Gurudev has had so much experience in so many areas of studying the Shastra in all different ways and delivering it, etc. And it's all culminating. It was all culminating at that present time. But it was a very powerful appreciation of the immensity
of a pure devotee's jewels and gifts to actually give to us. It's sacred, special.
And now you're giving it to us.
No,
So-
I'm not giving anything. I'm just depending on Gurudev to give. I can remember
Well-
standing in front of Gurudev and having no idea what I was going to say. And Gurudev just looked at me. And all of a sudden, I was speaking. I was speaking all even verses and everything. And I hadn't had any notion of what I was actually going to do or speak. It's only because of him. Entirely.
Yashodanandan Prabhu used to always say that if we become a hollow flute, then Srila Gurudev and Krishna can play on that flute. So we just have to be hollow inside, for Gurudev to play. Even rusty tools are still useful in emergencies. So sometimes rusty tools can be repaired actually and revived. So I think you're both right, but we're really fortunate because whatever you've heard directly from Srila Gurudev, the Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada, we're directly hearing it now. So we're really lucky to have that opportunity, and he would particularly say to his daughters that you have to be like lionesses. You have to speak. You're fully as good as my boys, or even better sometimes you would say, just to encourage. But whatever it may be, we're in a very good fortune and position. And seva doesn't have to mean that you just speak. It means that you can do so many different types of seva to be able to get that nectar, and be able to see, even if he's what Gurudev has said, you can just recite it to someone that you know, like a friend or a group, or it doesn't have to be a big audience. Harikatha doesn't mean you're having to preach to everyone. It means that you're remembering that thing that you've been taught and just repeating it. And Srimati Shamarani Didi always used to say that if you repeat it, then you'll remember it. If you don't repeat it, you're not going to remember it, and then you cannot tell anyone. So those little things that we can do to see. The thing is, Maharaj, when we, at least for myself, when we hear that you have to give Harikatha, people think, oh, you're going to have to give it to a mass audience of like hundreds and thousands of people. But reality is Harikatha can be very intimate also. And actually you can get a lot more juice and nectar from the intimate conversations also, because especially if you're near a Vaishnava, they can reveal a lot more that's happening in their heart and give it to us. So, but very grateful.
Shamarani Didi told me one thing that she told Gurudev. Everybody knows Shamarani. She's like unending kata, right? Years. But she expressed to Gurudev her own uncertainty, because when we all came into this Gaudiya lineage and association, she came much earlier than me, we saw a different level of what you call devotional scholarship. So she felt very inadequate to speak. And she revealed that to Gurudev. She said, oh, how could I speak? You're asking me to speak in the presence of all these very learned persons. And Gurudev said, well, if you look to this way, you'll see that group of people that are very high qualified, and you feel not qualified to speak to them. But if you look this way, you'll see so many. This is the vast majority of people that know nothing, or people that, will greatly benefit from, so much more than them, right? And that way, you should feel encouraged. And also, being, I guess, sort of an older devotee now, I like to hear devotees that are considered newer, or, haven't spoken as much. You can, if they're following the process, that you realize that everybody's got a perspective, and we can learn from everybody, right? I mean, I'm looking at a picture of Nityananda, he was in Bangalore for years and years, never spoke there. But now he and his wife Taruni, she wasn't asked to speak, I guess, very much at Radha Kunj. But now they have preaching center. They're going all over the place. They do programs. They do all kinds of stuff, you know, even moderating here.
Yeah.
So everybody, I can't see everybody here. I only see a few faces, but I'm sure that we have all kinds of people that are at different stages of that. Just don't be intimidated.
Marge, that's on that. I want to open the floor to devotees that feel encouraged to want to say something, like in future programs, that feel inspired, that they should just message me, and then we can arrange for this. Like I use my husband as an example, Vipin Prabhu, who is maybe not, he's not a senior disciple of, we're all babies. Me and Vipin Prabhu came right at the end of Srila Gurudev's pastimes. But if you listen to him, he's actually extraordinary and he speaks so beautifully. And there's so many, I've heard so many Maharaj, like throughout this whole Bhakti Zoom, even like a couple of years ago when me and Yashoda were doing it, we had so many different beautiful disciples of not just our Gurudev, but many different Gurudev, like Guru Parampara speaking. And we want that this platform is for them as well. It's not that it's just for seniors, it's for everyone, because this is what Gurudev wants. This is what we set Bhakti Zoom for, is that everyone has the opportunity and a platform to even offer 5 minutes is a big thing for someone, you know. And we want to acknowledge that. So thank you for reminding me of what was the reason for us doing Bhakti Zoom also. I think it's really, really important. But yeah, we must conclude, otherwise we will go way over time. But if anyone did marriages, either one want to say anything else?
Do we
We
have
end
two
with
MCs
Girvan?
tonight? Do we have two MCs tonight? Are
No,
there two
Marge, what
MCs?
happened? I
Who's the
ended
MC?
up having,
You're
I'm
the
the
MC.
MC. Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah, the
thought
only problem was that I had to, yeah, no, Tarun Prabhu came back
oh,
only to cover me because I had to run to a office meeting and I had to be on that call. So he was concluding for me. But tomorrow, same time, same place, same Zoom link. So please do join. Anyone that hasn't joined the WhatsApp group, because after Wednesday we will obviously end Kartik and we will then try and arrange for other programs. So anyone that hasn't joined our WhatsApp group, please do, and encourage others to also do that.
so we won't have a program on Wednesday, is that right?
Yeah, we still have a program on Wednesday, Marge.
Yeah.
We have a
Really?
conclusion program. I thought you
What are you
said we
gonna talk
did.
about?
You said you're just going to conclude.
No. Wednesday's finished. Wednesday's shave up day.
Yeah, you shave up and then you
Tomatoes
conclude.
and
But
eggplants.
what Guru? No,
Honey.
then you say. No, then you say what
Boiled
Gurudev used to
eggplant.
say.
Pizza.
They
No,
make
then you.
How am I going to come up with my pizza on Wednesday?
We're going to make pizza here. I wish
Okay,
Nityananda
send
was
it over.
there.
We could. I was thinking, Yashodhari, we could have a reflection of
Yeah.
and other devotees can make an offering what they've, like Nityananda Prabhu, he can,
Yeah.
whatever they feel they've been inspired to appreciate or learn themselves in
Okay.
their own. Just an idea.
We
Okay. No,
also
that's perfect.
It doesn't have to be super long. It can be,
Couple of.
maybe an max or something.
Yeah, and also I want to conclude like Srila Gurudev would with saying that now Kartik has ended, etc., and now you should come to Navadvip. So I want that we conclude like how Srila Gurudev's always concluded.
So Yashodhari, you have to write the text for what's going to take place on Wednesday, because I don't know what that is.
Sure. Okay, and devotees that would like to just speak a little bit on their reflections, just also message myself or Tarun Prabhu so that we can just have you there and be ready. We will obviously ask you online as well, so that if anyone wants to add something, they can. Tarun Prabhu, did you want to say something?
I get
Um,
to run now because our different time schedule. Thank you very much. Keep me
Dandavats,
informed.
Maharaj.
Premanande, Haribo.
Haribol, Maharaj.
nah, I'll save it. Let's discuss
Okay.
Wednesday.
All right. Nityananda Prabhu, are you ready for Kirtan? Wonderful. Okay, let's unmute. Okay, you're ready.
Excellent. So today, very beautiful descriptions of the pastimes of Damodar. So I thought that, well, we have a bhajan that we haven't sung about this very same topic. So
Very
it's
quiet,
composed by
Nanda.
Mangal Thakur.
Very quiet.
Haribol?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. This bhajan is composed by Mangal Thakur, and it's about the different names of the Lord. So its name is Agre Kurunam Atta. Not sure if they're sharing it on the chat.
If not, I'll share it.
I'll send it to Balabhadra. Okay, maybe he didn't receive it on WhatsApp.
Yeah, maybe just start and then has it got loads of verses?
It's got 70 plus verses, but we chosen just a few.
Okay, you start and then we can.
Okay. Agre Kurunam Matapandavanam Dushasane Hritavastrakesha Krishna Tadakoshadhananyanata Govinda Dhamo Dharamadhaveti Vikretu Kama Kila Gopakanya Murari Padar Pitachita Viti Dhanyadikam Mohavashada Vochat Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Paryakika Bhajamalam Kumaram Prasvapayantyo Kila Gopakanya Jagopavandam Swaratalabhandam Govinda Damodara Beti Vichitra Varana Birame Videhi Vaktram Bujaraja Hamse Sadam Madhyera Sane Grarange Govinda Dhamo Dharamadhaveti Ankatirodham Shishugopagodham Stanam Dayantam Kamalaika Kantam Sambhodayam Masamudha Yashoda Govinda Dhamodara Madhaveti Yashodaya Gadam Ulukalena Gokanta Prasena Nivadyamanam Rurodamandam Namanita Bhoji Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Jagdota Tato Navanita Pindo Grihe Yashoda Vichikitsayanti Uvacha Satyam Vadahe Murare Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govasabhalai Shishuka Kapaksham Bhadnantamambojadhalayaksham Uvachamata Chibukam Gehitva Govinda Damo Dharamadaveti Jalashaye Kaliya Mardhanaya Yadha Kadambak Apatha Mudhare Gopangana Chakrushur Etya Gopa Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Akruram Asadya Yadha Mukundash Chapot Savartam Marutam Pravista Tadha Saporair Yayatitya Bhachi Govinda Dhamo Dharamadaveti Jivera Sagye Madhura Priyatvam Satyam Hitam Tvam Paramam Vadhami Avarnayeta Madhuraksharani Govinda Dhamodhara Madhaveti Antar Jale Graha Grihita Pado Vikshita Viklishta Samasta Bandhu Tadha Gajendro Nitaram Jagadha Govinda Dhamo Dharamadaveti Samsare Kupe Patito Tighare Mohanda Purne Vishajapitape Karavalambham Mamadhehi Vishnu Govinda Dhamo Dharamadaveti Tvam eva jache mama dehi jive samagate dhandha dhare kritante Bhaktavyameva madhuram subhaktya Govinda dhamo dharamadaveti Jive sadhaiva bhajasundharani Namani Krishnasya manoharani Samasta bhaktarti vinashanani Govinda dhamo dharamadaveti Gopi Pate Kamsaripo Mukunda Lakshmi Pate Keshava Vasudeva Jive Piva Swamrita Metadeva Govinda Damo Dharamadaveti Gopi Janala Karabrajesha Gocharanaranya Krita Pravesha Jive Piva Swamrita Metadeva Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Pranesha Vishwambhara Kaita Bhare Vaikunta Narayana Chakrapane Jive Piva Swamrita Metadeva Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Shri Yadhavendra Didhara Mujaksha Gopa Gopi Sukha Dhana Daksha Jive Piva Samrita Metadeva Govinda Dhamo Dharamadaveti Baki bakaga sura dhenukare keshitrina varta vigata daksha jive piva swamritam etadeva govinda dhamodara madhaveti Narhayanananta Hare Nrisimha Prahlada Badahara He Kripalo Jive Piva Swamrita Metadeva Govinda Dhamo Dharamadaveti Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Natha Narayana Vasudeva Jive Piva Swamritam Etadeva Govinda Damodhara Madhaveti Govinda Damodhara Madhaveti Govinda Damodhara Madhaveti Jive Piva Swamritam Etadeva Govinda Damodhara Madhaveti Jaya Damodhara Jaya Damodhara Damodhara Jaya Damodhara Jaya Madhava Jaya Madhava Jaya Madhava Jaya Madhava Haribol 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol Jai. So I don't know if it's possible. I know we are way over the schedule limit, but maybe Balabara can read the translations. He's got it in his WhatsApp. Not sure. Or maybe after the live stream.
Maybe we can do it another time. I've got to run to another meeting.